Okay, Stu, I want to lay out a couple of things. First of all, the banks in China, or the major bank in China, has decided not to do any business with Russia. And that seems confusing to some. It makes it very crystal. It reinforces everything, I believe, quite honestly. But I need to explain that. And I need to tell you what's really going on with the price of oil and what it means. And Stu, if you wouldn't mind, if you don't understand or you don't think it's clear enough, please help me out. Will you do that?
Yeah. Because I mean, the Chinese bank thing is that good?
No,
it's not good. Because you think that China and Russia are sort of aligned. They're coming on our side of the
we have to
debate.
We have to. We have to think differently. A different game is being played. If the world was as it, has always been, all of this would be a very good thing for the West and the United States and the stability of the world. Okay? If this was 1938, this would be a very good thing if the world did this to Germany. Mm-hmm. But it's not 1938. All right. This is a different scenario, and we are weakening ourselves at the same time we're weakening Putin. Okay. And really, it is a race to see which one collapses first. And China is not on our side. Okay. So let me just give you some things that happened yesterday and some reports that came out from Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase. I have told you before, prepare for impact. I am telling you now, we've hit the iceberg. Get into the lifeboats. Get into the lifeboats. And I'll explain that here in a second. Don't be fooled by the sideshow that is this Putin battle. Good guy, bad guy. Should we go in and get him? We should kill him and shoot him in the head. Don't be sidetracked by that. That is something that will just delay you. They are on the deck of the Titanic arguing about that. Get to the lifeboat. Here's why. Yesterday, Russian crude was offered at a price more than $22 below the spot price, and no one bought it. So we say we're buying Russian oil, we're buying all this stuff. Yeah, some stuff is still coming through a pipeline, but nothing is going offshore. Russia is so desperate now to sell this oil, they said, we'll sell it below market price by $22. And no one took them up on that. Okay? No one in the world. This is the Great Reset, and it is very, very effective. But I want you to understand what's happening behind the scene. So there is a bidless market now for Russian oil, and increasingly an offerless market for non-Russian oil. JP Morgan, their commodity strategist, made a research note earlier yesterday. She noted that while the U.S. and its allies have so far stopped short of imposing penalties directly on Russian and oil and gas, on Tuesday it became increasingly clear that Russian oil is being ostracized. The preliminary Russian crude oil loadings for March revealed a 1 million barrel drop in the loadings from the Black Sea ports. That is also a $1 million drop from the Baltics and half a million barrel drop in the Far East. In addition, there is now an estimated 2.5 million barrel loss in oil products loading from the Black Sea, total loss of 4.5 million Russian crude, blah, 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 blah. Putting the number in context, prior to last week, Russia was exporting 6.5 million barrels of oil and oil products, with 2/3 clearing through the now frozen seaborne market. Out of that, Europe and the U.S. accounted for 4.3, with Asia rounding out the number. Echoing what was said yesterday, JP Morgan notes that as the Russian invasion entered its 7th day, Russian cargoes have become toxic for the majority of the Western trading houses, refineries, utilities, shippers, banks, ports, and insurers. As of this morning, almost 70% of Russian oil is struggling to find buyers. So far, if you're on the deck arguing this war, this seems good, right?
This would be what you'd want, right? We're trying to isolate Russia financially.
Yes. If we weren't actually kniving and shivving ourselves at the same time. The reasons include logistics. Large number of oil tanker owners can't get the insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Signs are growing now that things are going to get worse as Russia's invasion into Ukraine is entering now a deadly new phase. President Biden is facing pressure from lawmakers in both parties to completely cut off U.S. imports of Russian oil and gas. In Europe, the conflict has revealed an extreme tension between European energy security, listen to this, and the region's primary energy supplier, likely leading to a rethink of European energy strategy where a Russia-free requirement might be added to the carbon-free category. Understand that? Europe's not shivving themselves. They're saying, okay, we may have to get out of Russian oil, but if we're going to do that, turn those frickin' nukes back on. Forget about this carbon-free nonsense. We got to do what we need to do to survive. Got it?
Which is, of course, what they should be doing and what we should be doing.
We should be opening up every drilling hole in the ground. We should be pumping oil and gas everywhere. J.P. Morgan then repeats what Goldman said over the weekend. Goldman Sachs said disaster is coming, arguing that giving supply shock and bearing a breakthrough in peace negotiations, an immediate demand destruction is the only way to rebalance the market in the short term. That is terrifying. An immediate demand destruction. What is that?
No one wants oil.
Why?
One wants, because the economy has collapsed and there's no demand?
COVID.
Right. COVID. Did it. Yeah.
And to balance the market in this direction, as it stands, to balance the market, we have to use less oil than we did in 2019. In the first scenario, J.P. Morgan admits that is so large, the immediate supply shock to the bank, the bank believes prices need to increase to $120 a barrel and stay there for months to incentivize demand destruction, assuming no immediate Iranian volumes. Okay?
We're hoping Iran.
We're hoping Iran will start selling its oil. The far scarier scenario from the bank, J.P. Morgan, is one where disruption to Russian volumes lasts throughout the year. In that case, they say Brent oil price could exit the year at $185 a barrel, possibly $200 a barrel. So you know, our entire global economy revolves around $100 a barrel oil, okay? Everything we have, our groceries, our food, everything we do is based on $100 a barrel. That's just what all scenarios have been geared for. You don't change that overnight without extreme consequences. For instance, $140 a barrel was what it was at for the 2008 collapse. That was the last straw. You cannot hold this thing together at a sustained $140 a barrel. We're talking about $185 to $200 a barrel. And remember, the Fed said they need to stop the economy. They need to do everything they can to slow it down. In the 1970s, we had an oil disruption, and it was horrible. OPEC just stopped selling us oil, okay? Horrible. What we did in those times is almost exactly what we're doing now, except like the low-fat version, okay? We are now eating bacon fat only. And to cure that, they had to take 20% interest rates. So you borrowed something, it was 20% for your mortgage. That's how we got out of it. But remember, we had a president who was saying, cut taxes, cut regulation, just go out, build stuff, make stuff. Come on, entrepreneurs, let's go. Okay? That's what got us through that. Now we have a government saying more regulation, higher taxes, no power to the people, and shut them off with gas, shut them off at the banking sector if we disagree with them. This is a death sentence, Again, but our government is hoping that Iran will return to the table. There's another supply valve, and that is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We will have to empty our Strategic Petroleum Reserve to be able to make a dent into this, okay? And you don't want to empty the Strategic Oil Reserve when the world could be on the brink of war. Now, J.P. Morgan ends their thing yesterday saying, but you know what? It'll probably stay at $120 a barrel, because maybe this is going to end soon, and also maybe Iran. We're hoping on those two things. I would suggest that you might hope and pray for that, but you might prepare for something a little uglier, because we have people intent on destroying the Western world and the United States. And you have those people inside the house. The call is coming from inside the house. Let me explain it another way from another movie. It's a trap. Okay? Everything that everyone is arguing about, stop. Concentrate now on food. Concentrate on fuel. Concentrate on being able to be the best, most non-fireable person in your company. Get into the lifeboat. Now, that was J.P. Morgan Chase. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what Bank of America said. Bank of America wasn't that rosy. Okay, so Bank of America is saying that if most of Russia's oil exports are cut off, remember, 70% has now been cut off, there could be a 5 million barrel or larger shortfall, even if there is some offset from the release of strategic reserves and some increase in OPEC exports. That means oil prices could double from $100 a barrel to $200 a barrel. They say this is going to cause massive problems in the economy. We're already seeing them. Let me go to Bloomberg. Their index of raw materials. So this is what does it cost for all of the raw materials to make things. Banks, importers, and shippers are now fearing new shortages in energy, grains, and metals. Raw materials saw its largest weekly gain in damn near half a century. We haven't seen this since OPEC oil crisis 1974. The biggest week in commodities unfolds since 1984. The global crude benchmark surged to $120 a barrel. Aluminum has hit its high this week, and wheat has rallied its highest since 2008 as new shortage fears increase. We, quote, "We have never seen such a steep and sudden commodity price spike across so many assets. Until there is significant de-escalation, the record or elevated prices due to sanctions and disrupted supply chains will continue for many commodities." Okay, let me just say this. We're in a different world. You have to start thinking differently. This is, I don't even know, 1927, 1928, maybe September 1929. I don't know. But I will tell you this. We are headed until and unless this administration changes its policies. They're going after a local oil company here in Texas, trying to get them to shut down. They are shivving us every step of the way. These oil fields, these gas fields must be opened back up. They have to be opened back up. I believe it's a trap. I believe that this is well planned, well thought out. It'll keep people back at home. It'll impoverish people like nobody's business. It'll make people cry out for the government. You got to help us. We need more. Print more money. It is a recipe for disaster. Do not be in its path. Please start storing your food, any commodities. Start thinking like your grandparents right now. If you're my age, your grandparents that lived through the Great Depression, start thinking that way now, please.